We hear it a lot. Anyone who wants to publish a book has to, quote, build your platform. Today, we're going to give you an extreme example of what that can look like. Welcome to Everything Cookbooks, the podcast for writers, readers, and cooks. I'm Kate Leahy, and I'm here with Kristen Donnelly. Hey, Kristen.
Hey, Kate.
I think today is going to be a different episode than the types that we do usually. We're going to be doing a deep dive. Instead of a book like being made, we're going to be talking about content being created for social media. First off, I just kind of want to get your sense on social media. Like, do you go all in? Do you do just the bare minimum? What's your strategy?
My strategy is, I don't know. I think with like a lot of people, I have a love-hate relationship with social media, and I go back and forth between not posting at all to posting like in the moment very organically to then trying to have a plan. It's not always my favorite way to show up in the world. So yeah, I would not call it all in. How about you?
I go back and forth between not wanting to look at it at all and then having a couple things that I really want to put out there and I have some fun with. And so I guess for me, social media is less about growing a platform and more about being present on the internet so people can find me. So if someone sees my name and they look me up, I look like who I say I am. So I definitely don't have a master plan or a grand scheme, as you will, of building my platform through social media. However, I've seen what it can do for people who really do work at it.
Yeah, I actually went to a creator event not that long ago where, I went as like a podcaster and I guess cookbook author, but this event was mostly geared toward people who are making their living through social media. And it was really interesting. So yeah, it can do huge, huge things for you, not just in terms of getting book deals, but creating other ways for you to make money.
Right. It's like a book can be part of a much bigger plan if you go all in. Yeah. I think that's why today I'm really looking forward to talking with Ara Zada. He's a chef, but now he's an influencer. He's also a dad. He's also an author with me and John Lee on a book called Lavash.
Yeah, you've known him for a long time, right?
2017 is when we met and we started working on a proposal together. I mean, I've traveled with this guy. We've been in the car together. We've been on planes together. We have watched NFL football games in a snowy bar in Montreal together. We've done a lot of random things together. I feel like, he's definitely sort of brother from another mother. So what was kind of interesting is that, Lavash came out in late fall 2019 and we had really good turnout. We did a lot of fun events and we had all these great things planned for 2020, as so many authors did, live events. And of course, a lot of them were lined up for March 2020 and they were all canceled for very good reason. And the book really then took a lot longer for it to start finding its audience, even though we had such a good early turnout. And Ara and John Lee and I tried to do some videos, but we weren't really getting any traction doing that. So it kind of fell from the wayside. And then basically this past year, sales have really ticked up. The book's gone out of print a few times, and it's really been because of what Ara has been doing on social media. He started making all these reels, started doing all these videos. All of a sudden, people who didn't know that there was a book about Armenia were just like, oh, you have a book? And buy 10 copies. So what's interesting is I don't really know what his strategy's been. I don't really know how he's making all these videos, all these reels.
Yeah. And like what prompted him to do it. And I have to say, I just love, because there's so much emphasis on your book launch and those first couple of weeks after a book comes out. And then I feel like publishers and even the media sometimes then treat it like that's old news, right? We're done with that. And this is 4 years later and the sales are still going strong and creeping up even. That's pretty awesome. That's really inspiring to me. And I hope that is inspiring to our listeners as well.
Right. If you really love a book that you've done and you feel like, oh, but it's 4 or 5 years old, it doesn't have to be on social media, but find a new way to get that book to find more audience, it's very satisfying. So let's talk to Ara and see what really goes into all this content creation. A content warning. At the 44-minute mark, we talk about some of the hateful comments Ara has received through social media. Fast forward to the 48-minute mark to skip those comments. Welcome to Everything Cookbooks, Ara.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's really good to have you here because, like, I know we go way back, and that's why it's great to have Kristen on this conversation. So if we go off the rails, we won't talk too much inside baseball, and we can keep the conversation focused on what we're going to talk to you about today. So one of the reasons Kristen and I really wanted to bring you on the podcast was, we talk a lot to our audience about growing your platform.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, what is the platform and how do you grow it? And so correct me if I'm wrong, but in January of 2023, this year, you had maybe roughly 3,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah, actually, the hard number is on December 16th, 2022, I had 1,600 followers.
No way.
Wow.
I remember the number. I remember the day. So there was a moment in time when it all changed.
So what was that moment in time? Because now you're more than 55,000 followers and counting. So
Yeah.
That's really crazy growth. And it's not even the end of the year. So tell us what happened.
So I've always social media was always fun for me. It was great. I always try to grow my account. I thought what I was doing was spot on. I'm a chef by trade. So like I'd make food and I'm like, this is great food. I don't know why I'm not getting a shitload of views. Oh, we can
You can
cuss,
swear.
right?
Yep.
Okay, because it's just gonna come out.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't understand why I'm not getting a shitload of views. It doesn't make any sense. And the food was good. Everything looked good. At the time, I realized that I was making food for my kids and making food for me and filming it all at the same time. And then I was like, I'm gonna film. Everyone be quiet. And then it got to the point where like I don't want anybody to be quiet because it's never gonna happen. And I got sick last year. I got cancer. And I wanted to finally make a push of doing like kind of exactly what I wanted to do. And that was, I want to be on food TV. I wanted my own show. And the best way to do it is to push on social media, like proof of concept, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I committed to making videos just for social media and posting every single day.
Wow.
So it was December 16th. I remember I said, all right, I'm going to do it. I kind of was like toying around with different formats. And on December 16th, I was like, starting today, I will post every single day and just continue and continue and continue. And it blew up and it blew up fast and it was wild. I mean, I remember going from 1,600 and I was like, oh my God, I just gained like 30 followers. And then I gained like 50 followers. And then I gained 1,000 in a week. And then I was gaining, at one point, I was gaining 300 to 500 followers a day.
Wow.
It was out of this world. And I remember going back and looking at, I do videos of like, I just hit 5,000 and I just hit 10,000 and I just hit 15. And it was like, I mean, if you look at the 5,000 video, the 10,000 video was a little over a week later.
Wow. Yeah.
That is crazy.
It's so interesting to hear you talk about this because like you just decided.
Yeah.
I've heard that from other creators who start to blow up when it's like, I made the decision to do it.
It's a lot of it is, everybody is kind of stuck in their own head, I want to say, or stuck in their own place. And it is, it is a full-time job. I don't get to clock out. As I was blowing up, when I first hit 10,000, I think it was, my wife was like, she's like, I need to pull you away. She's like, we need to go on vacation. It's like, it's too much. I mean, I wake up at 6 a.m. I'm posting, I am engaging in every platform, and then I'm creating content and I'm filming 3 to 4 videos a day so that I can steamroll, and then I'm editing, and then it goes into the night. And I remember it was like Friday and she's like, all right, we're going Sunday to Tuesday. It's the only time we have. We're going to Cancun, 3 days. And she's like, you're not allowed to use your phone. I go, okay, I get to use my phone only in the morning, and I'll post, and then I won't use it for the rest of the day. And I mean, it kind of worked, kind of.
I think I remember posting from Cancun, so I'm not sure.
I did, yeah. Because I was like, this is going to be great. I need to post this.
Let me just rewind a little bit. So you've always wanted to be on food TV. I mean, was that something that as a kid you wanted? Because you've done so many things. You like music, you like hunting. We are looking at behind Ara's view right now, and you've got, there's musical instruments on the wall. There is a deer head from one of your hunts. So why food TV?
So as a kid, I was kind of always in front of the camera. I was in front of like standing in front of everybody talking and doing all these things. Music was my first love. I was a musician, played in several bands. We were signed. We had CDs across the nation. We changed formats. We were getting looked at by other labels. I mean, I played in front of like 3,000 people at the LA Sports Arena once. I was always on stage. Eventually, music kind of tapered off. Things happened, and I found my way in the kitchen. But I always enjoyed food TV. I mean, when I was really kind of shining in the kitchen, it was like Emerald was blowing up crazy. And it was like he was the only, I want to say, TV cooking rock star there was. I mean, fast forward to like 10 years ago, like in Vegas, they don't have rock stars on billboards. It's all chefs, which is kind of crazy.
That is kind of crazy, yeah.
It was something that I always wanted to. Like going to culinary school, I always had food TV in mind. It was cooking and entertaining. It's kind of the same thing. I mean, food is like one of my deepest passions. When I was a kid, I ate everything. My nickname was Kol Kol, which means eat in Arabic. So I always ate. And food just comes kind of natural and easy. And I think it's less intimidating than certain people do. And I like to show like kind of the fun of it. I just always wanted to kind of be in front of the camera and cook, if that makes sense. This was kind of like a natural progression, I would assume. At a culinary school, I did a lot of food styling and behind the scenes, behind the camera work. I became a lead food stylist for like different talk shows and things like that. And I would constantly press the producers, like, get me in front of the camera. And they're like, but what do you do? I was like, I cook and it's fun. They're like, we know you're fun. We get that, but we need to talk about something. And I was like, yeah, just talk about me and I'll talk about you and the food. It'll work out great. They're like, no, you need a big social media following, or you need a cookbook, or you need to have done something that we can be like, there's this and here's Ara. So social media was kind of the answer to that. And it's a tough road. I'm telling you, like, social media is tough. It's a rough profession, I want to say. Now that I guess I'm classified as influencer.
I know you are.
Creator,
100%.
Influencer. Yeah, totally. Yeah. When your book came out, did you do some TV segments then?
Yeah, so we had some.
The timing was a little.
The timing was terrible. We did the book tour. I mean, it was incredible. We got to it. Yeah. It was the rock star tour that I always wanted to go on, but with a book. So not as big as a crowd, and we didn't have a tour bus.
Like 40 people.
Yeah, we nailed it. It was sick. I mean, it's fun. You go into a different city, like a small little city, and there's a bunch of people in a bookstore waiting for you, and they were super excited. I mean, we went to the embassy in Washington, D.C., went to the Armenian embassy, and there was like a couple hundred people there, and they were jacked up. Like, they were pumped on the book. They were pumped on everything that was happening. So it was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
There were some TV spots, but the traction timing was 2020.
Yeah.
Our book tour kind of got canceled. I had a show with Marcus Samuelsson. So I did No Passports Required with him, where he featured me, and I got to like make khash, which is this Armenian cowfoot soup. It's like Armenian bone broth. And then I was supposed to do a restaurant takeover at his spot in New York.
That's right.
He was going to let me just cook stuff from the book and do a full takeover. And then we were also going to jump to like Toronto. We had a couple other dates locked in, and COVID slammed the door. So it was super fun. But now it's weird. I've somehow become not weird, but I've become the Armenian authority on food. And when TV shows want something that's Armenian, they find me as one of the authors of Lavash. And they're like, hey, would you mind? We have this Armenian segment or something that involves something Armenian. And they call me. So I've had several TV spots more recently that I've been able to like fill up, some Fox News stuff, a couple of different TV shows. So it's been kind of crazy.
Right, because the Fox News show in LA, like at the Good Day LA, it's like the biggest morning show in the city, isn't it? In the region. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Araxia is one of the anchors on that show, Araxia Karapetyan. And she reached out and she's like, hey, it was after COVID was fizzling off-ish. It's still around. I don't know. But after it's fizzling off, she's like, hey, I want to feature the book. I wanted you on the show when you guys were doing the book tour. So I'd love to feature the book and, talk about you. So we did a Zoom. I thought it was like a pre-Zoom kind of interview. And she's like, okay, let's meet and we'll talk about it. Like I wasn't even camera ready. Let's call it camera ready. I was like, oh, just like whatever. This is going to be cool. And she goes, all right, we'll get right into it. I'm going to record. I was like, record what? And she just like, we started talking and that was the segment that aired. Like I thought we were going to go to the studio and do stuff, but the segment went great. A lot of people hopped on after. A lot of people didn't know about the book. So that helped. The following year, which was this past year, she asked me to come again. This time she came to my house. It was this past year. And she's like, we want to come to your house. Araxia's going to come. We're going to make harissa. We're going to bring a camera crew. It's going to be, I was like, whoa, okay, yeah, let's do this. And they put me on another segment where she came here. We did some stuff and then they liked it. So they brought me back to the studio to finish up the segment. So it's been wild.
That was a lot of fun. And I think that the really interesting thing for listeners is that this is a book that came out in fall 2019. And Ara has been on television about this book multiple times since then, including just in 2023. So it's kind of like you can keep a book alive for a long time, especially, with one that's still finding its audience, because we did get that 2020 sort of like, So thanks to Ara, this book is, still finding people, which is great. Okay, so you decide you want to go all in social media. This is December. Did you do some research? Like, this is how I want to do these videos. This is how long it's going to take. Take us back to sort of like the nuts and bolts. What happened in December?
So like, Kate, you know me, like when I dive into something, I go head first, like my brain is just explodes. I need to know every single thing about it. It was similar with this. So my IG platform was my main one. I didn't have a TikTok at the time. And I had started a TikTok just because everyone was doing it. And this is, I want to say mid 2022. The way I was filming videos was a lot of top-down stuff, a lot of tasty type of videos. Remember those old tasty videos? And I follow a lot of food people. And you kind of got to watch how the videos evolve. As the videos evolve, the viewer evolves. And if you stay behind in the way it's happening, nobody cares anymore. I had like these hard shifts and then I talk about it with my wife Dee, and I'd be like, hey, I think I need to put more of me in the video. And she's like, of course you think that. You would think that you need to.
I love Dee.
She's like, of course. And I was like, no. I see it. Everybody is like, they're making the food and then somebody's eating it. So it's making people think they're eating it. So I was like, okay. So I started making the food still top down and then I would eat it. And then I'd be like, I think I need to be talking to people in it. And she's like, no. And I was like, yes, you need to be talking because people are talking through it. And then I kind of was like, wait a minute, I think I need to be talking the whole time and the food is kind of secondary. So I need to give away the recipe while showing the food while it's me doing it. And that was kind of the formula that worked for me. It was essentially, I talked to some of my friends. They're like, hey, I saved this recipe. It's super cool. I go, did you make it? They go, no. I go, oh. I'll go, how many recipes have you saved? And this happened with several of my friends. They're like, a ton. I save recipes all the time. I go, how many have you made? They're like, I don't even cook. I don't cook ever. So I was like, that's it. So I was like, I got to give people recipes because some people will try it. The majority of people are not. So a way somebody is engaging it with it is like, let's say, I'm going to show you how to make an easy omelet. You do this, you heat the pan to this much, you do this and this and this. You're explaining every part of it. Somebody goes, oh, I need to remember this. So I'm going to save it. The saves for Instagram are one of the biggest things that can happen. So it goes in order from top down. It's saves is the pinnacle, send, then comment, then like, and then just view. And then you have to view it for over 5 seconds. So you have to engage the audience for about 5 seconds. At around 5 seconds, it registers. At around 8 seconds, 7 to 8 seconds, you'll get them to watch the whole video. So if you watch the evolution of content, and it's changing now, it's constantly changing. So now what they started doing was they brought the end of the video to the beginning. So you get to see the final product, the money shot is there. And then now what they're even doing, how it's evolving is you see the final product, you see them eat the product, you see them finish the video. And then now that you're hooked, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
So I started monetizing on TikTok. Facebook monetizes. and IG stopped monetizing, but TikTok only monetizes over 1 minute videos. Facebook also likes over 1 minute videos because it can change their ads. So what people are doing is they're capturing the audience in the first 15 seconds, and the video length is over a minute. So you'll finish the video with what's happening, but you already have them for 15 seconds, and it only takes 7 seconds for it to log as a full watch.
And when you say monetize, you're actually talking about the platform paying you.
The platform. So this is just platform based. So the way I chose which platform to start doing this on, and my goal was to do 30-second videos. I figured most people's attention span is around 7 to 8 seconds, but 30 seconds, you'll be able to watch it again if you saw something in the middle. And what I did was I cut out all of the middle of my speaking. So like every pause in my voice is eliminated in editing. So it's just boom, 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 boom. And it triggers something in your brain. And if you remember something or you wanted to see something, you'll watch it again. But if it's 45 seconds long, you won't. So I started doing this and I blew up on TikTok. TikTok started going crazy. I put a couple like chikifta videos up and I got like 200, 300,000 views. I was like,
Explain what chikifta is. Yeah.
Chikifta is a Armenian beef tartare. Armenian is debatable, so I get a lot of grief for that. But it's beef tartare. It's basically pulverized, extremely lean ground beef mixed with onions and crack wheat. It's delicious. It's like my favorite thing in the world. And I did a video on TikTok where I took chikifta to my softball game, and we were eating chikifta in the dugout. And I just thought it was funny, and I didn't expect it to blow up, but it blew up on TikTok. And for a short while, my TikTok started growing and growing and growing way faster. My Instagram still had around, at that time, like 1,000 followers. TikTok had like nothing, but almost instantly I got 1,000 up to about 2,000. So TikTok became my main platform. I was like, TikTok is good, IG is not. And Instagram, I wasn't getting any views. TikTok was blowing up. I was getting good views. All my videos started getting, I don't know, 15,000 views, 20,000 views. I was like, this is amazing. And then I started getting a lot of hate from Azeris and Turks. They started reporting my account.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I had videos taken down, and it would went against community guidelines. They were saying I was doing all this stuff, but the only thing that they could find was that I do a knife flip in the beginning of every one of my videos. It's just something that I do. And the only thing that they could find is that was a dangerous act. So it said against community guidelines for dangerous acts, which is funny because there are full-on knife juggling accounts. There are accounts that's all they do.
It shows how random a platform can be, and how if you had everything in this platform and you didn't have anything going on in other platforms, how devastating that would be if they just completely shut you down.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was terrible. I mean, and then TikTok slowed down. IG was going steady, but I just kept trucking along. I got diagnosed with kidney cancer last July, and in October I had surgery. So there was kind of like obviously a lull in times of me posting and whatever, but content was still growing. I did a video in the hospital where with the hospital food, I made jajuk out of yogurt and cucumbers. But you could see it on TikTok, like I was still active trying to do it. And then eventually I realized that they were both kind of the same. And even though people grow faster on TikTok, my account got reported so much that it slowed down tremendously. And then my IG blew up. So it's a battle of what you're going to post and where to post. I post everything to all platforms. The only one I struggle with right now is YouTube, and that's one of the hardest. My YouTube is probably the weakest. It has around 800 subscribers, where TikTok I have 11,500. Facebook I have close to 9,000, and then IG I have 55,000. So
from a community building point of view, do you feel like Instagram has been the strongest? Or
Instagram is definitely the most, I don't want to say wholesome, but it's the most favorable. If you have a good IG following, it can create more revenue. If that makes sense.
How?
Because people on Instagram are more likely to engage and buy things from videos. So like TikTok is a very young crowd, and TikTok videos cycle so fast that like there's so much out there that most people are just cycling through. So you're not really seeing something on TikTok and saying, I want to buy it. Where on IG, I want to say it's a little bit slower, if that makes sense. And there are older people watching as opposed to like
who have money,
30 million.
Right. Older people with money. Right. Or salaries or disposable
exactly.
income.
So yeah, according to my insights on IG, it's like this on TikTok too, but it's not as big. But my demographic is 25 to 55, which is the buying crowd. The bulk of my views come from Los Angeles and New York. And then it segues into Turkey and Armenia.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then now, and it toggles, and Germany. Germany's in there, which is kind of wild. And it's 60% female and 40% male. So like when I advertise or when people ask me for products, or to display them, well, we can get into that.
Yeah.
So,
Let's talk about that.
So before I jump into demographics, the way we make money here as like influencers now is by brand partnerships. And the platforms pay, but they don't pay a lot. Like everybody thinks like, oh, unless you're a YouTube star, YouTube, that's different kind of money. But for Instagram and TikTok and even Facebook, the way you monetize the best is by brand partnerships. So brand partnerships work like, if a brand wants me to use something in the video, typically they send it, they say there's a fee involved and there's an involvement of the product in it. Now, if you want to say something, talk about the product, do a product review, there are different fee schedules designed for it. And then that's how you create the partnerships. At first, people will send you stuff.
Yeah, and actually, do you have a media kit?
I do.
Yeah.
And are you working with an agent on this kind of thing or an agency, or is it all self-directed?
So it's all self-directed. Yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of mental capacity. Dee helped me create a media kit. I do have a manager now. He helps with a lot of things, especially on the TV side of things. More and more of what I need to get done because it's a lot between content creation, brands, trying to audition for things or get casting calls and figuring out what needs to go where. You're getting pulled in every single direction, and then you're spread pretty thin based off of just time in the day. Yeah. I wake up at 6 and I blink and it's 5:30, and if I have to do part of the kids' schedule, like that starts at 2. So 2:30 to 7, I'm like Daddy Uber and trying to manage in between those times, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. So having a team really, really does help. But in the beginning, there was no team. Yeah. It was me. My wife would help when she could. It takes a toll, but you need all these pieces. Every influencer that I met. So once you reach a certain level, this is kind of funny. When you reach a certain level,
do you like get a secret like handshake or something? And they go like, does the word avocado mean anything to you? And it opens up a secret door with like, it's filled with like gold coins and you learn all the tricks.
It kind of, it's people will start talking to you. So like, whereas before you reach out to somebody like, hey, this is super cool. And then nobody reached out, like nobody talked to you. Now you reach out to somebody and they go, oh, like it's weird. But like you look, they check your followers and they're like, oh, okay, I can talk to this person now. And then you talk to them and then they're like, yeah. And everybody is so helpful in this community. Like everyone's trying to help each other because everyone's kind of growing together and everybody knows the struggle. Now there's people that think they're influencers and don't post very often and they don't have a lot of followers and they're arrogant and like cocky and they don't want to say all this stuff. But then there's like all the bigger people and I'm still a small fish in this big pond. Like all the big guys are like, hey, yeah, do this. You need to do this and you should be doing this and you should be doing this and anything you need, just call me, let me know. I will definitely help, anything I can do. And there's so much to do that it's like it gets overwhelming. Like I got to open up a shop still. I got to get my website going because a website and this and then like I just partnered with or collab with a guy, Josh Elkin, and he's like Snapchat is where I make the most money. And I was like,
wow,
nobody uses Snapchat anymore. And he's like, yes, they do. And he goes, that's where it's at. And I was like, no way. I mean, I haven't opened Snapchat in like 15 years.
I have to ask, do you have an email list?
So I don't have an email list yet. That's definitely another thing.
Yeah.
I got my link tree going and it's daily. I'm trying to bang out certain things. I have clothing kind of merchandise now.
Nice.
I'm working on a spice line. So there's a lot of like little mixed pieces and it's kind of everything is funneling into one pool. So making money through social media is not just like I'm doing one thing and posting. It's you got to do it collectively, but there is money to be made. You just have to approach it correctly.
You love everything cookbooks, right? Well, we love making it for you. And if you'd like to help keep us going, go to everythingcookbooks.com/support. There, you'll find links to our new merch, the coziest t-shirts and sweatshirts, and our bookstore where we earn commission from every book you buy. You can also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the show. Again, go to everythingcookbooks.com/support to find all the ways to show us some love. And thanks for listening.
I'm curious to know a day in the life, like back, let's say February versus a day in the life now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so pre-social media blow up, everything was very relaxed. My days were relaxed. I check in with the kitchen that I would do consulting with. If they needed work, I'd go in. It was very chill. I'd have a lot of like relaxed and chilled days. I would create stuff, not create content specifically for social media. A day-to-day was not stressful at all. Take the kids to school. I have the time. Wife is working. We're good. Things are okay. Now, up at 6 a.m., hopefully, if I sleep in until 7, it's a rollover and cycle through all the emails and try and get through content that spills in. Before or after that, I need to do my posts. And usually I'll look through content first because the posting takes about 45 minutes to an hour. But it depends. It depends on what I need to write out.
That's a single post on all platforms.
Single post on all platforms. So I've already had videos loaded up. So I have video for the next day. So I wake up, I have to cycle through. I usually go through Instagram, check my messages. Then I post. Posting, it's not just posting and setting it. Posting captions, the description, picking the right song, all of that, timing it correctly. If you're using different songs, if you haven't preloaded that, all of that makes a big difference. And then posting, then you do that to IG, you do it to TikTok, then you do it to Facebook, and then get into YouTube. Then if I have the kids, it's get up, make breakfast, make them lunch, take them to school, come home, figure out what recipes I need to make in the day, go shopping because I shop daily, come home, film 2 to 4 videos. It used to be 3 to 4. Now it's like 2 to 3 videos in a day. Load them into the pipeline. If I need something for the next day, I have to get to editing at least one of them. So edit at least one. Or if I am not able to, because there's a lot of other things I need to man the chickens outside.
That's right. You have chickens in the backyard.
I have chickens in the backyard. I need to go to the gym because eating all this food, you turn into something special. And basically that's the bulk of the day in a regular content creating day. Now, more recently, I mean, there's several meetings that I get pulled to. So if I leave the house, it definitely impedes on a lot of the things that I have, but it's all for the greater good.
Right. So if you are able to, say, record 2 or 3 videos, then at least you have them in the pipeline, because I would imagine if you have to be out of the house, you're not going to have time to shoot video, right?
Exactly. So if I have a full record day, which they've been getting very few and far between, then I can load things into the pipeline and then be able to manage the next couple days. My goal always is by the weekend to at least have 3 videos that I don't need to like struggle on the weekends, so I can do other things. That being said, I've also kind of relaxed on the posts that I do on the weekends because they don't do as well. So Saturday and Sunday posts have typically been more like just images on Instagram than using reels, because it's like, you don't want to waste a reel that nobody's going to look at. And most people are on social media during the week when they're at work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the harsh reality. They're on it early in the morning. So what I find is posting early in the morning works. Even though everybody says it doesn't matter what time you post, it does, because I get a lot of people saying, we wake up to you every morning. We look forward to your post every morning. So when they open their phone, I'm the first one that pops up. So they wake up to me every morning. Put it this way. If my mom doesn't see my post in the morning, she calls me and says, what's wrong?
Aww.
Like, that's how she's checking on me. She's like, are you okay? Is everything fine? I go, yeah, it's totally fine. I didn't get to a video today. Like, I'm going to get to it. I got to film right now. I got to run to there have been days I've had to scramble in the morning because I will post every day.
Still doing that.
Yeah, you're committing. So, and do you ever repost?
More recently, a lot of like fellow influencers have said, dude, you have to repost. You just have to repost your stuff. Repost it. If it did good, repost it. And for a long time, I wasn't doing it because I'm like, no, like, I don't want my followers to be like, oh, now he's just reposting stuff. But then I realized, everyone's not seeing everything.
Yep.
And like, I'll repost a video and people like, they're like loyal followers that comment on everything. And they're like, this is amazing. Why haven't you made this before? And I'm like, well, this is a repost. Like, everyone's not seeing everything, especially if you post every day.
Yeah.
It's a lot of content. So more recently, I've taken videos that I think are really good and I'll repost them and they do well again. I mean, my Busterma video got 1.8 million views and it was a long time ago I posted it. So more recently, I reposted it. And I want to say it was like 2 weeks ago, I reposted it. And in 2 weeks, it has 1.5 million.
Weird. Wow. So is that the first post that you did that went viral?
That's the biggest one. I've had a lot of ones that are like 250,000, 500,000, 100. Like, my threshold in my mind for a viral video, something that does really well, is anything over around 80, then it went viral. My standard, if my videos don't reach 25,000 views, something's wrong. So that's like the bottom of the barrel for me.
What happens then when something's wrong? Like, do you go
I
back?
don't know.
Do you go back to it and like tweak it?
No. I go back to my wife and complain. I don't understand.
Why don't they love me anymore?
In this video? What's happening? It's really mentally stressful when things start changing. So here's the sad part about social media is it's so instant. So there's this instant gratification. And when there's a lull, you start like harping on yourself and you don't know what you did. And when I got to 40,000 to 50,000 was so slow for me. And even though 40,000 followers to 50,000 followers is what I'm talking about. So my growth from 2,000 to 40,000 was so fast. I'm talking like I was gaining like thousands of followers a week. And then from 40 to 50, it took, I want to say 2.5 months, which is still in the grand scheme of things, insane, right? It's still awesome. But I was so used to like hundreds of followers a day. So I'm like, the videos aren't doing well. What am I doing wrong? Something changed. Oh, they're not pumping my videos to people. And you start like dwelling on the fact, and everybody I talk to, like, just keep posting, just keep doing what you're doing. Everything is fine. Sometimes the algorithm doesn't, like, it's almost like they're like, let's see if we just throttle him down a little bit and let's see how long he lasts. And then they're like, okay, people
like
still
a mean
like
girl.
him. And
Yeah.
it's
I always
honestly
joke that algorithms are like mean girls. They're like,
Totally.
honestly though,
like, we'll make you think you're in, and then
Yeah.
100%.
So the dopamine rush
100%.
is gone. And then the motivation, it's like, and then you start questioning all the things you thought you were doing well. You know, it could be really, so you have to, like, so what do you do when that happens?
Honestly, like, I just complain to wifey, but I get into a slump, like mentally, like I'm like, oh, I'm not doing it correctly. I'm doing my videos aren't good. My recipes aren't good. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need to change the lighting. Maybe social media changed and they don't want my format of video anymore. Maybe this and this and this. And then I start thinking, this is the funny part, is like, even if my video hits 1.5 million views, that's a tiny percent of the users on Instagram. So you're like, so it worked for this many people. It should still work for this many people. So just go back to just being who you are. You know, sometimes I try to change a couple things and then the videos don't do as well. And I'm trying to make them better because I think my followers are getting sick of it. But the reality is we're just gaining more and more followers. So everybody sees it again. They're seeing the kind of similar to what I did in the past, what originally hooked everybody. And now I just got to keep pumping it.
Yeah. When I was asking about repurposing or reusing a video, there is a listener to this podcast, Rebecca from Practical Kitchen. Shout out to her. She does these breads with 1 cup of flour, and she'll repost like her focaccia with 1 cup of flour every month or so. And it's like always viral. And then it's like more people come into her world. And then
so crazy. So you just like your basturma is her 1 cup flour bread.
Honestly, it does so well. I have another basturma video that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do pork basturma. That's gonna break the internet.
Interesting. Yeah. And basturma, for people who don't know it, you want to just explain? So
a basturma is a salt cured beef. It's kind of like a deli meat. You essentially take eye of round or any cut of meat. Some people do it with ribeye. You salt cure it and then you dry it. And it gets air dried and then it gets wrapped essentially in this seasoning called chemen, which is a mix of garlic and allspice and fenugreek and all this goodness. Just don't go to the gym after because the person behind you. Yeah, you just sweat it out. But it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to make, and it dries, and then you slice it like deli meat, and you can either eat it just like that or cook it with eggs, and it's one of the wonders of the world.
Yeah,
and not an easy one to do in a minute either. That's another thing.
Yeah, so I did it, and I did it. My video says basturma in 1 minute, and I think the main thing that with social media is the hate drives it.
Hey, I've heard that. Like sometimes the hate posting.
It's not so like when people don't like something, it makes the video go viral.
Because they comment.
They comment, this is, that's not, why does he keep looking at the camera? You can't make basturma in 1 minute. Basturma is a Turkish food. Basturma is this. That's South African. That's actually Bosnian. People have thrown out so many things. They're like, bro didn't change his shirt for 3 weeks. Like, it's the comment section is just that's another part. When I started blowing up, I had to take myself out of the comments. I will get into the comment section, and for the first like 50 comments, I comment just to boost the algorithm. But people are so harsh. Like, you have to realize, you have to take a step back and be like, these people are trolls. They're here just to try and put you down and put down anything or anyone that's doing good. I mean, I've talked to a lot of influencers about this. Like, people have gone into like depression about it.
Yeah.
Because people say some really, really harsh things. And at the end of the day, there's a person on the other end of the phone. You know what I mean? Like, you're in the limelight. I mean, people see like, oh, you have 1 million followers, whatever. They're not, and they're trying to get a rise out of you. So they say some harsh things. And then there's somebody that's looking at the comments. You know what I mean? You're waking up in the morning, you're looking, you're like, wait a minute. Why is it like that? Why is somebody saying that? And then you're like, I'm going to retaliate. So you lash back out, and then it goes back and forth. And then I've had my moments with people. I'm not going to lie.
Well, yeah, I could see it also just thinking about we should talk about this a little bit more, just about your angle. Like, I think that's another thing that if you're on social media, you need like your angle. You're not going to try to be everything to everyone. So for you, I mean, you're an Armenian American living in LA. And I feel like that's such a great, like, you're going to be that guy, right? You're not going to pretend to be somebody else.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, then you end up like anytime Armenia is in the news or something is happening that is a tragedy in Armenia or the general sort of former, USSR, you're the lightning rod sometimes.
The target.
Yeah. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. So honestly, I get a lot of Turkish backlash and Azeri backlash. There's obviously because of like wars and things like that, genocide that happened in Armenia. What's happening right now in Artsakh, they're doing ethnic cleansing through Artsakh. They pushed all the people out, and it'd be hard pressed not to say anything about that. And I get a lot of hate for it. So people, Azeris, come on the page and they're in the comment section and they're just like, I mean, when I say hurtful stuff, like things out of left field, like things that, like, I'm a food page, right? And it's like I remember reading a comment once that it was like, that wasn't what your grandma said when my great grandpa was taking her in the bedroom,
Awful.
Like things like that. And it's like, you're like, whoa, that's so unnecessary, right? And but also, with all the stupid people, there are a lot of intelligent people. And I do get a lot of support from Turkish people that are like hardcore Turkish people that have Turkish flags, sending me private messages saying nothing but good things, saying we are brothers. I have Armenian friends that I've grown up with. Our foods and cultures are so similar. Please don't listen to all the hateful Turkish people. There are a lot of dumb people in every culture. And they also said that the stupid people are the loud ones. The intelligent people are not the ones that are. If you're a smart person, you're not going to go to somebody else's page and start talking shit. You know what I mean? If you're smart, you're like, I have better things to do with my life. Even if I don't like something, like I see something, I don't like it, I just scroll away. I'm not inclined to say my piece. Now, a stupid person has nothing better to do, and that's what they do. So I do have a solid amount of like Turkish following in Istanbul. What I don't have is an Azeri following, and I'm thankful for that. Honestly, there's never been a positive Azeri that said anything. So there's never been one in the comment section that said anything but extremely hateful, I mean, just nasty, racist things. And my comment to him always is, thank you. You're really helping out my algorithm. So continue to comment because you are doing the exact opposite of what you want to do.
And that actually, not to downplay that, but just like to flip it to like some of the fun things that you're able to do on your platform. I mean, you not just collaborations with companies, but you do collaborations with comedians, with other personalities. And that seems also something that kind of is very LA to me, just the merging of all these different cultures together. Talk us just a little bit about like your friend Jack, how those collaborations came to be, and tell us who Jack is.
So Jack is my long lost friend. Jack and I grew up together. He's a comedian out here in LA, but he tours the nation. He's half Armenian, half Mexican. When I was a kid, his parents owned a karaoke bar, and I was there every other weekend with my dad. And when my dad passed away, him and I lost touch, and we hadn't seen each other in 25 years, 30 years. And after my sickness, my first outing, my wife takes me to a comedy club, and she's like, "It's our first outing. I've been out in months. I've been bedridden." I was like, "Where are we going?" We pull up. I go, "Oh, it's the Haha." I was like, "I grew up here." She's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "I grew up at this place. I know the owners. I know everybody in there." She's like, "No." So we walk in. Jack isn't there. I try to find him on social media. I find him and I go, "Oh my God, he's a comic." I had no idea. I message him. At the time, he had like 40,000 followers. I go, "He's not going to see this." Instantly, he messaged back. He goes, "Dude, I thought you were dead. I thought you were dead." And I was like, "No, man." He goes, "You never called." I go, "You never called." He's like, "We got to connect." So since that moment, we've been kind of inseparable. And what we do now is we do these fun Armenian Mexican fusion collaboration dishes. And he comes over, and it's not something that's like well thought out. Let's put it that way. He comes over and he'll be like, "What are we going to make?" And I go, "I don't know. Let's just do something." And we kind of on the fly come up with it. The first one we did was the lahmacun, which was a lahmacun, which is like a flatbread with meat on it with carne asada in it, and we turned it into a burrito. We've done our play on asada fries, which is like fries with sujuk on it.
And he's not a cook. That's also part of the shtick,
Not
right?
at all.
Yeah.
So he's just a comedian. So he's there doing funny stuff. He's terrible at cooking. But he does the comedy part. I do the food part. We just have fun. We put out like several dishes and they kind of caught fire. Like people loved them. And we got a write up in the LA Times about it.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. So after the LA Times thing, we decided to do our first comedy kitchen pop-up. And we did one at the Haha, was awesome. And now we're doing them once a month at this restaurant called The Brandy in Glendale. It's a smaller, more like kind of VIP event where we sell tickets. Jack does a comedy. He brings some special guests. I do kind of like a kitchen takeover. So we do recipes that we call it Armex, Armenian Mexican. So it's Armex Fusion. So I do the Armex Fusion dishes. He does the comedy. The events have been selling out. Every time we posted one, it sells out in less than 24 hours.
Wow, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun event. There's comedy, there's food, and we get to do this. And hopefully now we're going to start kind of touring with it. Cool. So there's a place in New Jersey that wants it. I know a couple of the places have asked for it in Vegas as well.
Do you think Armex, would that be a cookbook?
So that would be an awesome cookbook. Jack honestly has been like, dude, let's make a cookbook. Let's do it. We're gonna do it. And I'm down. I'm super down.
With all your spare time in the day.
I know a really good co-writer for you.
I know one. She's awesome.
Well,
I love her.
Let me ask you this: like, what do you think you got out of the cookbook? It sounds like to me that you were going to pursue this path any way you could, regardless if you had worked on a book or not. How has the cookbook helped, or maybe has it helped at all?
Or how's this helped the book?
Yeah.
So both ways. So the book is like, I always tell this to people. I say it to people all the time. A book is like a forever billboard. A book doesn't necessarily make you money. A book puts you on the map. And it's always there. It's something that's printed. It's something that people can hold on to and they can touch. Now, it cements the fact that you're good at what you do, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. The book has definitely helped because everything that involves Armenian and Armenian food, everyone resorts back to the book and then kind of says, okay, now you do this. This is fun. Now, the book did really well in my eyes before I blew up on social media. Since I've blown up on social media, it has new life to it. And I do get a lot of messages of people like, I didn't even know this book was you. I just bought 10 copies. I didn't know you had a book. So it's going back and forth. I definitely have hopes to do another book. I want to do something fun, a little bit more, not necessarily just Armenian, but Armenian and Armenian fusion. We talked about doing maybe like the LA Armenian, something along the lines of like what I do mixed maybe with some of the stuff that Jack and I do, mixed with some of the stuff that I know that every Armenian in LA eats. So a lot of that is not just traditional Armenian food, but it's a mix of like Lebanese and different influences around. So I definitely would like to pursue another one. All in all, it's with recipes and content available to everybody online. People are like, why would you want to do another book? There's something about holding a book that makes it fun, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, I got this. You can go somewhere in another country and buy it. You know what I mean? It kind of validates everything you do. Mm-hmm. I feel like
it's like a rubber stamp of approval or authority,
Exactly.
And like you said, like when people are now looking for an Armenian food expert, you're the guy, right?
Yeah, it's all one big circle.
That's a really good point to end on. And before we let you go, Ara, anything you've got in the works that you want to tease?
I have a spice line that's coming out, so I'm going to be doing 3 different spices. I won't tell you what they are just yet.
All right. We'll have to stay tuned. We can follow you on all the platforms and find out what those mysterious spices are going to be.
Yes. Follow me. Definitely follow me on, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Chef Ara Zada, Facebook, Chef Ara Zada, Instagram, Ara Zada. Follow me on everything. Comments kind of get lost, but I am very responsive to all of my messages. So if you guys ever want to ask anything, feel free to message me, subscribe to my Instagram. So I'm going to be more active in my subscription portion of it, and you'll get to suggest what I make next.
All right.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, Ara, thanks so much. This has been such a fun conversation. Thanks for coming on and taking us behind the scenes of what it's like to create all that content.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to Everything Cookbooks. For more episodes and ways to contact us, go to our website, everythingcookbooks.com. You can find more episodes on Apple Podcast or wherever you get your audio. And if you like what you hear, please leave us a review. It really helps. Any book mentioned on the show can be found on our affiliate page at bookshop.org. Thanks, as always, to our editor, Abby Cirquitella. Until next time, keep on writing, reading, and cooking.